Hey guys, how's it going? It's Alexander Williamson here with the secret history living inside of your aquarium. Today we're going to take a look at one of my new favorite shrimp. This shrimp is known as the Babaulti green shrimp or orange shrimp, and they are related to Babaulti, so Caridina babaulti, which are striped, and they have some that are purple and pink zebra stripes, as well as some that are just black and white or gray or brown striped. But these ones happen to be green and color changers. So they also get the nickname in some circles as chameleon shrimp. Now, one of the interesting things I want to point out before we get into the history of it, and pardon the shaking because I'm zooming in real close with this one, is that their eyeballs are a little different than a lot of dwarf shrimp, and they have an actual little pupil on their eyeball, and so they almost have eyes. I think they look like little gonzos, so if you know the Muppets. Now, this one is a female, and she is saddled up currently, and you can see that they have kind of a two-part saddle, unlike other shrimp in the dwarf shrimp families. And she also is right now expressing a really bright green color for this dark substrate. Sometimes it's a very electric green, but when startled, they can change color back to even more orange and clear than these rocks. So they'll turn an orange color, and they're quick. So you can see how she's moving. When they need to, they can move very quickly. So let's discuss a little bit. I'm just going to kind of film when I can, and we're going to discuss the shrimp because they're a little bit elusive. They're a little bit shy until they're in bigger numbers. And right now there are only 3 in this tank. And right here you can see one that has changed to a clear color. And so their background, as long as there isn't a predator in the tank, they seem to turn color freely, and maybe even turning colors. Some studies have looked at similar shrimp, saying that they're turning colors for attracting mates and to show. Basically, when any creature turns a color, it takes a good amount of metabolic action. And so whether it's these shrimp that I'm keeping with it, so in the same parameters, you can see I'm keeping crystal reds, I'm keeping honey tibies, and then I'm also keeping blue neocaridina, blue dream shrimp. So here's a good example. We see a female on the right and a male on the left. And with most dwarf shrimp, the male has that skinny back area and his legs are tucked in, whereas the female has kind of this clear, if you look to the lower left of her abdomen back by her tail, has this clear carriage, which is where she stores eggs. And the males, like this guy swimming around, if we can catch him in focus, have free legs without so much encumbered body exoskeleton around it. Now, in Babaulti shrimp, the males don't seem to have quite as clear of dimorphism as the female, between the females and the males, as in other shrimp. And so it's pretty hard to tell between them unless they're saddled. Now, that being said, once they are saddled, they very quickly can become buried, which means pregnant, and they can produce a large number of offspring. They can carry anywhere from 30 to 50 eggs, which are smaller than most dwarf shrimp, and we're going to prod around here a little bit to try to find an example. Perhaps even, not that I want to be mean, let me zoom out. Not that I want to be mean and startle the shrimp, but it is rather interesting to see that color change and see the orange come out in their coloration. So as we're looking around the tank, you can see other shrimp for reference for size and everything, probably ones you're more familiar with. Now, these are pretty hard to find as far as on the market for shrimp, and they ship rather fragilely. So they it's kind of a contradiction in that they can live in a wider water parameter scope than almost any other dwarf shrimp that I've come across. They can live in water from, if I read off the official scientific information right now, so I'll read that off, which is they can live in temperatures from anywhere from 72 to 82 degrees. They can have a KH from 0 to 12 and a GH from 4 to 14, a TDS from 50 to 250. So that's a pretty wide range, and that's breeding parameters, whereas they will survive some quite different parameters, but surviving is different than thriving, and of course I want my shrimp thriving. So in here we have the lower end of the spectrum, but it makes them a good addition to any tank. So right here we have another one, and this is a good example of how well they camouflage, but this one right here has kind of a yellow coloration underneath the leaf, if you can make them out. And has a yellow coloration with a little bit of green, and it's actually adjusting as we speak. So watch what happens if I carefully try to get them off that leaf. My guess is it will turn more of a clear orange color. So if we knock them off, you can see that rusty orange coming through. Now, the other interesting thing about their biology, other than having eyes that remind me of Gonzo from the Muppets, so that rusty orange color in them, I don't know if they pump that throughout their system and they're translucent and that's how they turn orange and brown, or what the mechanism is, but they are able to change color on a dime, and when startled they do so. And as I said, that actually requires a lot of metabolic energy to do that, and in doing so, one, it must be effective for their survival, but two, it probably shows mates that they're healthy, and when they're doing courtship or mating rituals and maneuvers in front of other shrimp, it kind of shows, hey, I have the energy and the stamina to do this from an evolutionary standpoint. Now, as far as what temperature and settings they like to breed at, that is a little more particular than this, where they're able to exist. So back here we have one that is yellow currently. Let's see if it's going to try to swim up again. I don't know. There we go. So this one is a clearish yellow to tan, and all of these shrimp can turn all of these colors, but they seem to have a resting color each one that they like. So this one will probably have a resting color of a nice green, whereas some are actually like a sun-kissed orange color. So that's fun to watch in the tanks. It's also a good indicator of mood and health and things like that. If they're always clear or always orange, and you know that they're a green strain or a strain that likes to be green, you can kind of figure that there might be something off with the water. So it's actually a good indicator species in your shrimp tank. They're very peaceful. They seem to like to hang out together. They almost always in this tank, out of all the area they have to roam and the algae and things they have to eat off the sides, they almost always ignore this area and stay right around this area. That could be that they like oxygen and the heater a little bit more, or it just could be that that's where they're hanging out, and these other shrimp have kind of claimed their area over there. Now, they will not genetically mix with other shrimp other than stripe bull-body shrimp and possibly some zebra Caridina type species that haven't been documented too well. Now this one has turned kind of a brown, pukey green color. I know they're not quite as stunning as other ones, but other shrimps in the family are capable of either having or changing to very bright colors, and so there is a good question and a valid one that I want to find out, which is, can we breed more color into the lines, or brighter colors into the lines. So when we're talking about breeding, they have ideal breeding parameters at a pH of around 7.6 to 7.8, which is a little bit higher than most shrimp, and so they're a good candidate to go in your nano tank as long as there's lots of cover and some tannins and things, and they have a place to hide from fish. Now, their babies are very tiny. Their babies are smaller than most other shrimp. Over here we have a lone baby, and this guy is very, very small, smaller than the little pond snail, than the smallest pond snails in the tank. And I think that their strategy is they have 30 to 50 babies at a time, and then they hope that some survive out of that big wave of them. They also seem to be a little bit synchronistic in the fact that multiple females will get pregnant at the same time, and I think that's another survival trait. But they really will eat anything you put in there. I've seen them eat fish flake, like algae flake. I've seen them eat aufwuchs, as in these little bacteria colonies on rocks and things. And then I also see them picking algae off of plants and eating little micro crustaceans and things. You can see that floating by in the water right now. Zooplankton and so forth, as well as phytoplankton. So the temperature for them to breed, I would say ideally is about 76 to 78. So warmer temperature than a lot of shrimp's ideals. They go great with neocaridina in that with cherry shrimp and blue dream shrimp, they won't intermix. Now, you can put them with crystal shrimp, or over here, we've got King Kong and panda shrimp, things like that from the Caridina family. It doesn't appear that they breed with those particular shrimp, but they do better in parameters that are a little bit farther off from where those species like to live, in the lower pHs with the lower temperatures, and the KH. The KH and the GH are not really a problem. As I said, KH 0 to 10, GH 4 to 14, and that's where they'll breed, and a TDS up to 250. Whereas the Caridina shrimp, other Caridina shrimp, will require substantially lower TDS to successfully breed. So now they have the 30 to 50 eggs, as I was saying. They have a 30-day incubation process in their body. They also hold eggs in their undercarriage, and they release fully formed miniature versions of themselves. And over here you can see, sorry about the algae on the tank, but they love it. You can see the saddled female with the eggs before they've been fertilized in her back. Now, when being shipped, they are very, very delicate, and I lost half of them essentially within the first 2 days due to stress, I believe. Because now that they're in the tank and they're settled, they're doing great, and they've actually grown. They've all molted, all 3 of them. There were 6 that I ordered, and not all of them arrived. One arrived deceased, and then the others were deceased within, 5 to 10 hours. So once they're in and they get past that initial shock, they seem to do really well. And I put one of the 3 up into another tank where I have guppies that's harder water, and it did just fine up there. So I think it's really the trauma of being shooken up and stuff. So now let's get to the history part, now that I've kind of told you what they need. These shrimp were discovered in India by a man named Guy Babaulti, and he was a French explorer / he was just kind of a rich boy naturalist traveling the world through British India at the time. He found these shrimp various places in India, and he actually collected specimens very early on, because back then at that point in time they believed in vivariums and aquariums that you needed snails and shrimp as well as plants to keep things clean, which was pretty smart on their part. They figured that out. But they did have a hard time keeping a lot of the specimens alive, and really they didn't make their way back to Europe alive in any number or any lasting colonies until much later. So that shrimp just jumped. They jump immensely. They have a lot of energy and muscle potential. And I'm apologizing that I don't have any in orange coloration, but they will become more orange than this golden bee shrimp right here. They get more orange than that, but they always stay a little translucent. So he discovers them, sends back samples in alcohol and preserves them, names them. And now we're finding that probably the striped varieties, the purple striped varieties, all the pink striped varieties, which are much smaller, they're all Caridina, Babaulti variants of some sort, and they're not cataloged very well yet in what species goes where and who's super related to who, but they are now making inroads into the hobby, and I think they're cool shrimp, and I'm trying to get this colony going, and it looks like she will berry up and we'll have another round of babies. Now, a word of caution, other than the shipping, a lot of places have DOA guarantees, and I had to throw that out the window, essentially. I worked with Aquatic Arts, which is a great company. They're the only people I could find who reliably had some, and they had taken them off the public listing because they had had some deaths in transport. So it appears that when they change color under stress, it's maybe taking a toll on them. That takes metabolic energy. It takes shrimp are just slightly fragile sometimes. And the other thing that they're fragile about is if you put a bunch of shrimp pellets in here, like food-wise, sometimes they'll gorge themselves, and it's actually, people have actually reported that they will eat so much that they die and or get fungal infections because the food is not digesting or coming out, that get blocked up. And so you can literally leave these shrimp in a cycled tank and not feed them anything, and a lot of people report that they do best that way. Granted, I'm feeding these other shrimp, so they come and go and eat what they want, but most of the time you can find them eating little teeny things out of the water that you can't even see with the naked eye, but I know with my microscope that they are present in the water. So I hope that you dig that. Now, also, since I got these from Aquatic Arts, I wanted to let you know that they have been kind enough. We chatted with them. They will be giving anybody who wants to order plants or shrimp or fish, and they have a great selection. I've gotten shrimp from them. I've gotten these marmo moss balls. I've gotten a wide variety of stuff from them now, and it's all top-notch, great. Preston, their I guess public relations and customer service guy, is top-notch, a very cool dude, and I just wanted to thank them for getting me these shrimp. I have more coming. I'm taking that gamble in that I want to have more of these Babaultis and get more in the hobby and share them, spread them once they are thriving, because they're really hard to find, and I think it's because so many die in transport initially into the country, and then more die at transport out to people. But if you're willing to spend some money, I mean, I spent over $10 a piece for these shrimp. If you can get a couple to breed, you can have up to 50 babies. So it quickly pays for itself if you can just spread that onto others or trade it or whatnot. But the people at Aquatic Arts, what I was saying before I got off track, is that they are giving us 10% off everything on the store for checking out this channel, for teaming up. We want to do projects together in the future. We want to do things with shrimp and nano fish, as well as plants and my high-tech tanks and stuff. And to make that possible, as well as maybe even like doing some giveaways and stuff, it really helps my channel out. It helps their business out. Their business is run by two people, husband and wife, that basically the husband hurt his back really bad, and he had been a UPS driver, and that ruined that business plan, and he ended up being really down to the wire with medical bills and things, and he looked at his 55-gallon cherry shrimp breeding colony and ended up selling those, a high quality strain that he had, and thus started Aquatic Arts. So it's a cool story. They care about their fish, they care about their customers, and they care about the shrimp, obviously. And you get 10% off if you use the code SECRETSHRIMP, all caps, and then the number 10. So with every purchase, go ahead and do that. Save yourself the shipping. I think at some point shipping is reduced or free, possibly, anyways, but at some spending amount. But they've been really kind to me, so I want to pass that on, plus quality livestock. And they warned me, hey, these things die when you ship them, and that's why they're not publicly listed right this second. We're trying to stabilize the line and figure out shipping. And I said, no problem. I just want to get a hold of some of these, and I'm willing to pay more and do that. And they threw in all these extra things. So special thanks to them. A very cool shrimp, the Babaulti shrimp. It's been known since 1912 and has been in the hobby now about a decade in the U.S. In very small numbers, and hopefully now more people are keeping them. So I hope you learned a little something. I hope you're encouraged to try to track some down. I know I'll be sharing my colony. Take care of yourself, take care of your fish, and swim on. This is a very cool species, and I would like to keep it going, as it is a very versatile species once it has settled in past shipping stress. So, all right, guys, take care. Comment if you like these critters, if you've kept them, if you know something about them, and or don't like them, whatever it may be. I'd love to hear other people's experience, because information is very hard to find on these shrimp, and it is conflicting. And so I feel as though keeping a journal of this and watching them, documenting them the last month or so, I've been learning a lot about them as well. So let me know. Please like, subscribe. If you're still here this long, subscribe, you guys. Do yourself a favor if you're enjoying this chat. And feel free to join us on Facebook at the group with the same name, and to use that promo code SECRETSHRIMP10, all caps, no spaces, at aquaticarts.com. That'll be in the description. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. That is the Babaulti Caridina shrimp, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.